The #1 question everybody asks all the time, and when I ask for questions.
Hey guys.
Hey y'all, not me, no. Hey y'all, welcome back to Katie on the Flip Side. This week, we are here to do an update on Baby Led Weaning. Cullen is with me because we're gonna answer some of y'all's questions. And he obviously has been doing it too. We're teaching him how to eat. So first up, I just wanted to give you guys an update on how Gaines has been doing. When I did the very first video, she had just turned 6 months old and we had just started. She'd only had a couple foods. If you have any questions about Baby Led Weaning or missed that video, go back and watch it. It answers a lot of the basic questions and just gives an overview of what Baby Led Weaning is. You want some steak?
There's a lot of noise making and mouth movements. Thanks.
She says, why are we eating dinner in front of this camera? So to start, the main thing from the beginning was that she really did not eat a lot of the foods, which is pretty common. The primary purpose in the very beginning of introducing the foods is just for the babies to get used to the texture, the smells. So for the most part, she would pick up food, she'd put them in her mouth and taste them, she'd smush them in her finger, she'd look at them, she'd smell them.
She'd hold them in her hand and then try to eat her fist and not realize that she had to let go to get it in her mouth.
Which is why you start with strips of food so the food doesn't magically disappear in her hand. There goes some sweet peas. We have given her some puree foods. We have not strictly just given her whole big people food, but when we do give purees, we give them to her in a pouch so she's able to feed it to herself. So as long as she's still feeding the food to herself, it's technically considered Baby Led Weaning.
I think another cool thing that's neat is that she's learned how to use her pincher. Like she'll pick it up like that with her finger and thumb and then put it in her mouth. At first she was just like, Hulk smash! She's got a very special talent where she can shell certain peas, eat the insides or even blueberries and spit the skin out, and she can even tie a cherry stem in a knot.
So to start, we just gave her individual foods to introduce them slowly to make sure there were no allergies. But for the most part now, she really eats what we eat. So at this point, she's still not necessarily eating, like she's not gonna take every single strawberry we give her, chew it up, swallow it, and eat it like we would. A lot of times she'll suck on them, suck the juices out of them, spit them back out, put them on her plate. As she gets older, she'll start to actually chew the food and ingest it. She does chew some foods, but it's not like an older baby would. So for most people, I think around 8 or 9 months is really when they catch on and all of a sudden are actually eating all the food on their plates. Every now and then though, she will, like these sweet peas, she will eat them all. And, hello, excuse me.
This one really loves it. This little dog back here, she's like, Baby Led Weaning for the win.
But we've really loved it. It's been really great and it's really fun to be able to watch her explore all the new foods and taste all the new things.
That's the main thing, is it's just food before one, it's just for fun.
So there have been a lot of questions about Baby Led Weaning since we started, so I opened up the questions on Instagram to answer some of y'all's questions and what you want to know. And along the lines of what we were just talking about, one of the questions was, is there anything she can't have or that you don't give her at this point? The primary thing is honey. You're not supposed to give babies honey before 1 because of botulism, so that's
What is that?
Google it.
I have no idea.
So we avoid honey. Pretty much everything else is okay. Obviously, peanuts, eggs, all the allergy, shellfish, all of the allergy prone foods, it is now recommended that you introduce those earlier rather than later because of studies indicating that that could actually contribute to allergies. I'm not a medical professional, so definitely talk to your doctor about these things, but what we are going by is what we have been told, and that is everything's okay for the most part except honey. Obviously make sure for choking hazards and things like that, but...
Sugar, we don't give her sugar, except one time.
Oh, and salt. You wanna make sure and watch the salt quantities on your food. So anytime we make something, I either lightly salt it as I'm preparing it, a very little bit of salt, and then we can salt it ourselves, or make her, like with the steaks Cullen's grilled, make her whole separate steak. Another question is about breastfeeding and am I still breastfeeding? How has that affected it? It really hasn't changed anything. When babies start solids, their primary source of nutrition is still breast milk or formula. So we are still doing the same nursing routine as we always have. There's times when she may go a little bit longer in between feedings because she's getting other food, but we're definitely not cutting out a feeding or anything like that.
Another one of you asked what is her favorite food. I would have to say blueberries, but that gave her a diaper rash.
Gosh, that was so disappointing. She loved them.
Loved blueberries and or these apple cinnamon puffs. These are sweet potato flavored, but these apple cinnamon little baby crack. She loves those. And then yogurt. She loves yogurt.
She does love yogurt a lot. And yogurt's nice because you can also get it in the pouch so she can feed it to herself. That is something we have fed her with a spoon some. Somebody did ask, have you missed like getting the spoon feeding part of it? And we have done that sometimes, but that's just not our primary way of feeding her.
Yeah. One of y'all asked, how do you know if she's full or when she's full? Typically she starts acting a fool when she's full.
Like kind of right now,
she's probably done. She'll start yelling or screaming, not really yelling, but just whining, just like, ah! Or she'll start dropping her food off the side of the tray. When you try to give her something, she takes it and just throws it off the tray. That's usually a sign she's done. If that's not it, then she's just asking for water, and we just use this little thing, and she's good about, oh boy, look, she's got a sweet pea in her mouth. She's like a little pack rat.
You're not necessarily looking for them to get full. It's important to remember that their main source of nutrition before one should still be breast milk or formula. So the extra food is just extra. There's a lot of concerns people have had and questions for me about iron levels and how are you making sure she's getting enough iron if you're not giving her rice cereals and those types of things. Rice cereals are just empty calories for the most part. I know some of them are fortified with iron. When we mentioned that to our doctor, he was like, why would you be concerned she's not getting enough iron? She has iron stores that babies all have, which do start to deplete a little bit after 6 months, but breast milk should have enough to cover that. He was not concerned about it at all and said he doesn't even check baby's iron until they're a year old. However, she got sick and had to have some blood work done, and her iron was in the above average range.
Yeah.
So she's obviously not having a problem with iron, so that is not a concern. And the number one question everybody asks all the time, and when I ask for questions, how do you not freak out about her choking?
Well, we practiced before we started this. We said, act like you're choking. Babies have a gag reflex, and I'm known in this household to like be like, that's a big bite, she's about to choke, what are we gonna do? And Katie's just like, oh, she'll be fine, just let it be. And like, that's the type of strip we cut up of I mean, she just gnaws on it. She doesn't swallow it. I mean, if she gets a little piece off, she swallows it, but I mean,
she had a piece of steak in her mouth earlier, and Cullen was like, that's a big piece, it's kind of stringy, what do we do? And she kept it like at the front of her tongue. Baby's gag reflexes, this is all from what I've read. I'm not, like I said, not a medical expert, but from what I've read, baby's gag reflexes are a little bit further in their mouth than ours are. So when they like that, a lot of times it's not even that far back in their mouth. Also, she has gagged when she's smelled a food before. So sometimes the gagging is due to the texture or to the smell or the taste. So a lot of times it's not because they're choking on it. If they're actually choking, they will not make a noise. They will, like, no noise. They'll just... Initially, she did have a little bit, she's really had very little gagging. In the beginning, she would kind of like put a piece of food in her mouth and she'd, and then it would come right back up. And it still amazes me how she'll put a big old piece of strawberry in her mouth and be chewing on it, and then all of a sudden, it'll pop right back out. So I think the number one thing is just to try not to be anxious. The more you're anxious, the more she feeds off of it. If you reach in there and try to pull the food out because you're scared she's gonna choke on it,
she'll be like, and then really start gagging.
You can push it further back in there. She can gag on it. It also freaks her out. So she's like, oh my gosh, what I just did was bad. I shouldn't do that again. So if you just try to stay calm, watch them gag a couple times. That sounds horrible, not actually gag, but you know, kind of watch what they're doing and let her cough a couple times and see what happens.
Just let your baby choke.
Yeah, it's fine. But seriously, watching some videos on YouTube of other babies and how that experience goes, if you Google baby led weaning gagging, you will find some. I think it honestly makes her a little bit more aware of what she can handle and what she can't. So it makes me feel better about her going forward with food. We always supervise her very closely. That's very important, especially if it's something she hasn't had before or like a bigger piece of something. But initially you want to start out with big strips of food and then you can cut it down into smaller pieces. But
we did go through a little crash course when we were going through everything about CPR and like what happens if they do start choking, and you flip them over and put them on your arm and then just wear the crap out of their back. Or you turn around and do the Heimlich on them and then that piece of shrimp will just pop right out like it does on the Scout Fire.
I will do another update on Baby Led Weaning and how it's going for her in the next couple of months, and hopefully at that point I'll be able to say she actually eats all the food on her tray.
And that boo-boo still stinks.
Leave a comment and let me know if you have any questions you want me to cover in my next Baby Led Weaning update. I would love to answer them. Don't forget to like this video for cute baby eating food and for Cullen's guest appearance. Thanks for appearing in my video today.
You're welcome.
Don't forget to subscribe to Katie on the Flip Side. I really appreciate all of y'all's support. Y'all are so awesome and sweet and wonderful. I'll see you next week for another video. Catch you on the flip side.
Bye.